Prison's jacked up. It's like being in the worst of the worst hood, and you're trying to make it out when you finally make that decision. And just like out here, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be somebody for whatever reason that's going to come by and try to mess up your day, probably because of something that they're dealing with. And this morning, I'll never forget, because it was Sunday and it was the most laid back time of the week in prison, where most of the guys were still asleep. But I got up early and went out into the dorm often because I could get privacy out there and read. That was my reading time. And the football games would be coming on later, so I could claim a spot on the bench in front of the TVs before everybody started coming out. That's it. That was going to be my day. I was reading a book that evidently was offensive to him. I read books about everybody's religion and beliefs and way of life, because I just thought it was important to learn where other people are coming from in order to connect. But this guy, for whatever reason, first thing in the morning, never spoke to him before. He decided he wanted to come and just start a debate or argument or something. And I remember I had looked over at him when he came up, because he was like, "What you reading that for? It's all a bunch of nonsense." And I was just like, "Good morning." Literally, like this same response. Like, "Good morning, bro. You good?" And he just kept going. And I remember I looked back at him again. I said, "Please, bro, just leave me alone, man. I'm just trying to chill, read my book. I'm not bothering nobody." I said, "I don't even really know you. Like, we never talked." And evidently that was highly offensive, because he began to raise his voice. When he raised his voice, I stood up. Why? Because I'm on a maximum level prison, security level 4, where the arguments turn into things that are far worse. In some prisons, it's just a fist fight, but in other prisons, it's worse. I'm already knowing what this is going to turn into. When I go to stand up, he swung. That was it. Now, I want to say this. I don't know to this day why he came at me. I heard rumors. I heard that another car had put a hit on me. I heard that it was, it was him just looking for somebody to get into it with, that he wanted to go to the hole or get off the compound. I heard a bunch of things. And maybe that was it. Maybe I was just sitting there. But I also know that they say over 70% of those that are incarcerated are impacted by mental health issues. And I got to believe that he fell into that percentage, because there was no reason for him to come against me. I never even said anything to this guy. I never did any business. He never shopped at my store box. He didn't owe me anything, or vice versa. He never gambled on any of my parlays tickets. I don't know you. Who are you? And on top of that, the issue at all, before we even got to that point, I didn't want to fight. I had something to lose. He didn't, and I knew that, because you know where people lay at, or where they lie on the food chain in prison. And he was somebody, respectfully, he didn't have support. He didn't get visits. He didn't get on the phone. He didn't get commissary. So he didn't care if he went in the hole. But at this time, I was tired of going to the hole. I had been there so many times already. I'm over it. And although I didn't care, because sometimes it was vacation, I don't want to be back there no more. I got a decent job. I'm getting ready to get a visit probably this afternoon. I'm just trying to make my swole, watch the football games, chill, bro. I get commissary. I got stuff I want to keep enjoying as much as I can in this environment, because if you go to the hole, you don't get to watch the TV. And I'm trying to stay out here. It's football season, man. Needless to say, I watched that Super Bowl in the hole too. Or didn't watch it, listened to it. But we'll talk about that. When we started fighting, I want y'all to understand it's concrete and steel. It's not a place where two people should be fighting at. If you fall, if you hit your head, if you slip, it could look far worse. I know I've watched guys slip and hit a sink, hit their mouth on a sink in the bathroom fighting somebody. I've seen some bad things. And when we got to rumbling, he was a little bit older than me and not as big as me. And, hey, he might have been faster, but he fell. When he fell, it was over with. By then, the COs had already let off in the pod their rubber pellets. Everybody hit the floor except for me. Why? The OGs had taught me long ago. You get to fighting. You get to rumbling. Don't go down first. You stay up for as long as you can, because there's no guarantee that the guy that you were fighting is going to go down. That's when he may jump on you with a piece of steel. So I stayed up. Guards ran in, they sprayed me. They sprayed me, but not good enough. They tackled me, I hit the ground. They cuffed me. He's still hollering at this point now. He's cuffed too. And when they picked me up, he looks at me and said, I got you. You ain't get out on me. I got you. And I remember saying to myself, I was like, yo, I put hands on this dude. I look decent right now. But sure enough, man, squinting out one eye, I looked down. It was red on my shirt. I was wearing a T-shirt and gray sweatpants. And he had hit me. He hit me with a piece of steel. I remember literally thinking it was over with at that point because I couldn't. You got to remember, I'm cuffed behind my back. I can't lift up my shirt, and they're rushing me out the pod. And I got pepper spray. I'm sweating now. My other eye that I could barely see out of, I can't see. And they're not lifting up my shirt to check. And I'm telling them as they're dragging me out the pod, I say, man, I got hit. I'm bleeding. Man, I need help. They weren't trying to hear none of that. They were trying to neutralize the fight. This is how my Sunday was, y'all. This is what prison is. You just minding my business, reading a book, trying to chill, and now I'm being rushed to Southampton Medical Facility, hospital, for trauma. Luckily, it wasn't that bad, but I remember driving there in the ambulance, cuffed, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, yo, I'm never going to see my mom again. Like, it's over with. You know, I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Even though they were telling me I was going to be all right, you got to understand, I'm still bleeding. And all these thoughts came to my mind. I was like, man, I don't want to die here. I just want to get home. God, please, please, please. And I got there. Like I said, it wasn't that bad. They stitched me up, cleaned me up, brought me back to the institution, and put me in a medical holding cell before they finally let me back out. They let me back out because they seen on the camera after they did the investigation that I wasn't the aggressor. I was chilling and he swung first. And that was it. You know, I actually got my job back and kind of, you know, kept on going. But that was another moment when I guess it made me think about my mortality. Like, I think there was a point in my prison bid where I thought about my freedom, but I didn't think about my freedom because there was so much prison time. I didn't know if I could make it. But being in a situation where I felt like I was close to death, it made me realize, like, I do want to go home. I don't want to die in here because I thought that I was about to. But yeah, that was how a Sunday went up there.